Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about why when it comes to other organizations, I always either say nice things or keep my mouth shut. And the biggest reason is like, this isn't really hard for me. Any organization that's doing anything to help, I don't care if they save 2 dogs a year, or they save 2,000 dogs a year, they're doing something to help and I respect them for that. So I'm not gonna say anything negative, particularly in public, because I just don't think that's helpful. Like if I truly had an issue, I would be direct and one-on-one. And that's just something like personally I've learned over the years that I prefer over like it just doesn't, we're adults, you know what I mean? So there's that. But two, like when this comes up, I sometimes have this come up where like honestly random strangers will come into the adoption center and start saying something about another organization, and a lot of times I'm just listening. And probably the biggest thing is like it's a lot of just misunderstanding, and I'll do my best to defend honestly the other organization. Example, oh, this organization never got back to me on this adoption application, and I'll say, well, this is, I can tell you from experience, this is a really overwhelming industry and it's really easy to get distracted. I know that I do know that organization and they do a really good job in XYZ. So I'm sorry that you had that experience, but it just is how it is. We're really under-resourced in this industry. And they're like, oh, okay, cool, So that's, I think, a good way to handle it. And then if it's like something wild, I have heard some wild stories. Honestly, I'm just like, whenever somebody starts telling me that, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, that could happen to us. How could that happen to, like I start going down that route. So it's really not out of like judgment, because I just know how hard it is to run an organization. And then you have like organizations bigger than me and organizations smaller than me. Organizations bigger than me, I typically just look up to. And I'm like, oh, it's so cool that they're doing this, this, and this. There's one organization that like people will try to like talk back with me about, and I just won't do it, because I actually think they're like super awesome and I think their model's insane and I'm like a big fan. So I always think it's funny because I'm like, yeah, I'm not participating in that. I actually think they're awesome. Sometimes like if it's an advocacy thing, this is like, for me personally, I'm really big on not euthanizing for space. So if I have a problem with an organization over that, one, that's already a really like sticky subject. So I'm always going to be really careful. And again, this is just something I've learned over the years. Have not been perfect at this, but it's a sticky thing. I want to be really careful when talking about that. It is usually better to have the conversation one-on-one. And honestly, I feel better having the conversation one-on-one first. And then if I do have to like bring it out more into the community, at least I've been really honest and direct about why I'm doing that. And then the other big thing on that is I'm never going to connect it to a person. I'm never going to connect it to a person, because it's just, we're all humans. We like some people, we don't like other people. And I just don't think that's helpful. I might connect it to data, where I would say, hey, this data point is underperforming. What can we do to fix that? I think you're going to get way further than that, than like Barbara is bad at managing Sally. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you might say poor management is leading to this negative data point. Sure, but it really has nothing to do with Barbara. Maybe Barbara just needs some management training. So that's how I look at it. And I just really don't think it's helpful bad-mouthing other organizations. And I think, again, if you have a problem with another organization, particularly locally, like, it's better just to be direct about it. And I actually have like no experience with another rescue organization where I've felt the need to even do that. So yeah, just remember, everybody's doing the best they can. And even if somebody has a different model or a different belief than you, if they're saving animals, they're saving animals. And I'm going to have respect for that person 100%, especially way more than, just a random person who comes in and isn't willing to help in any way. So that's it.